Hi, this is Doug Jones, and you're listening to The Stuff That Fascinates Us podcast. Shut up. Okay, wait. Let's do that again. Take two. What are you?
I'm Groot. Oh, great Odin's Raven.
Bite my shiny metal ass.
Why the fuck would you do a thing like that?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Stuff That Fascinates Us podcast with your interesting crew. We have...
Oh, I'm sorry, that's me. This is Steve, otherwise known as Weresmurf on the page.
Norman, a.k.a. Norman.
And Adam, I'm Bloodfist.
And myself, Cam. We're going to have a rather interesting discussion about Hotline Miami 2 not getting a classification from our wonderful classification board.
And it turns out it was not for excessive violence, it was not for drug use, it was for a... Does anyone want to guess?
Rape scene.
Yes, it was for what they call an implied rape scene. So
there was nothing implied about that. I read about it. That was very direct.
Yeah, so it's a non-interactive scene. The character comes in, kills two people, drops his pants, climbs on top of somebody, and goes hammer and tongs. There's nothing triple X rated about it. You don't see penis going into vagina, things like that. But it is a rape scene. Okay? And to be fair, the R rating that we received did say explicitly that sexualized violence would get a game banned.
Yeah, that's right.
So what's everybody's initial thoughts on that?
Well, I just think it's a bit... I spit on your grave. You can have one of the most grotesque rape scenes I've ever seen in film, but a couple of little shots in a video game and you go on. I just don't think it makes any sense.
I think I'm going to pirate it.
I definitely think I am too. Mind you, if they do release a censored version for Australia, because he has said just pirate it, I think I'll buy the censored version, but then still play the pirated one.
Personally, I've never played the first Hotline Miami, and the controversy over this one, I mean, it seems pointless in the regard of just how quickly it's blown up.
Yeah, the first one was a very fun game. It was a top-down view game done in 16-bit graphics. You played a hitman or a guy that just a really violent prick. You played a hitman or a guy that just a really violent prick.
Yep.
You would have different stages where you would have to infiltrate buildings from a top-down perspective and just kill everybody in the building. Very violent, very graphic, but as graphic as a 16-bit game could possibly get. Okay, we're not talking Fallout 3 level detail where you'll see an eyeball fly across the screen. We're not talking chainsaw through the guts 3D. You get what I'm getting at. Okay. The worst you see is blood, really, or a few pixels go here and there.
Cartoon blood splatter.
And as Norm said, something important to consider here is that a rape scene in a movie will not get a movie banned. Okay? I watched I Spit on Your Grave's remake a couple of years back, and that was a waste of time. But the fact is, in the movie, the woman is raped graphically, and it is graphic.
And I have to admit, I've got pretty strong constitution for things like that. But that I Spit on Your Grave remake, even I had to skip through a little bit of that first part because that was hectic.
It is pretty crazy, yeah.
And I'm just like, no, I can't. Like, I like my horror movies, I like my violent movies, but I couldn't handle that. I just had to skip through it to get to the revenge bit. It was like, this is too much.
Now, even when she's doing the revenge, right at the end of the movie, she gets the sheriff, who is corrupt. He's helping these guys because apparently he's related to one of them or something like that. This woman who's raped, she goes back and basically it's a big empowerment film. The woman comes back and kills her rapists. She gets the sheriff, ties him up, and sticks a shotgun up his ass.
Yep. She
sticks it right up his rectal cavity. And ends up pulling the trigger. Like, he moves, and it's this big jury-rigged system where
they're tied up to the other guy she had there set up.
Exactly. Now, she sodomized the guy with a shotgun. The round goes through his body, blows his head off, etc., etc., etc.
I feel that if you're going to put something into a movie that involves that sort of scene, you have to have a damn good reason for having it in the movie. And if you're going to have it in the into a game, you'd have to have a damn good reason for having it in a game, as well as you've had with Grand Theft Auto and all the way up. Having it as in the context that I'm reading, I can understand why the Australian Classification Board would go that way, especially under the fact that they're limited by what the legislation actually says, as in they're not doing it to basically piss off gamers. They're just saying, well, it's part of legislation, so we have to follow what the legislation says. We don't have that level of ability to permit some things and not permit others. Well, that's much as they used to. So I'm on the board, on the side of the classification board, in the fact that they're limited by legislation, and if people definitely wanted something like this to start to become more, they would have to seriously lobby the legislation to be changed. But then again, the creator of the games basically said, if you want this game, there are ways for you to find it, and I'm not going to stop you from doing that. So, yeah, for me, it always comes down to, does it actually add something? And from what I'm seeing, I don't know if it actually does or not, and I don't know if the value in having the scene there was really there.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very good point. I played Saints Row 4. I downloaded the patch, got it uncut, things like that. The cutscene, the Sean D from Saints Row 2 loyalty mission, where you end up smoking crack from light bulbs. To be honest with you, the little bit of notoriety there of, oh, this is fun because this is the banned mission, that was all cool and all, but tonally, it was very different to the rest of Saints Row 4. The rest of Saints Row 4 was very light-hearted. Then suddenly you're smoking crack out of light bulbs. And it's very, very weird. So like you said, I suppose I get where you're coming from. But, and as you also pointed out, as you guys pointed out, Jonathan Soderstrom, the co-creator of Hotline Miami, has told Australians if they want to play the recently banned Hotline Miami 2, they should just pirate it.
Well, isn't that what we do when games are banned in this country anyway? He's just giving us... Yeah, he's just giving us permission to do what we already do.
We're a nation of criminals.
Well, we're founded on criminals, so where do you go from there?
Yeah. No, but I mean, I think that was pretty ballsy. He's come out and said, I don't want to void my artistic vision, so just go ahead and pirate it.
Well, see, that's the thing. He's not going to make money on it in this country anyway if they ban it, so it's better to have people play it. So then, and I mean, it gives them respect points too, so if they ever bring out another one that doesn't get banned here, people are going to snap it up. But even still, I mean, you can still... games that are banned in this country, and especially with these consoles with no region coding, PCs, like take Left 4 Dead 2. I actually imported it from China so I could get the completely uncut version of it. So I still paid money for it, and I was still able to get it and play it.
And our local PC Master Race guy, Cam, will tell you the benefits of playing it on PC, where you just download that little file and unlock everything. Hey, Cam.
Yeah, I believe it was just a edit in one of your you only had to edit one of your config files to open it up. And I believe the rating back then was simply the excessive violence and the police, the zombie police in uniform for some obscure reason.
I think ultimately we're not going to see a sudden change in the OFLC's policies. We're not going to see a case where they say everything and anything is on, it's an open slather. But we are in a much better position than we were 3 years ago.
Yeah.
We most definitely are. I mean, we're not going to see games like Fallout banned for the simple fact of having mention, what was it? Morphine, yeah, which was a legal drug anyway, in the sense that it can be prescribed. But no, I honestly feel that if we were to start to lobby the classification board for changes, it would want to be for the right game, and I'm not sure that Hotline Miami 2 is really the right game for that.
No, I don't quite think it is. And to be honest with you, like I said, I don't believe in censorship. I don't believe in that sort of thing. But I do agree with you completely. I don't quite think Hotline Miami 2 is the right game to go berserk over.
No, but much credit for him for letting us torrent it, though.
He's allowing the consumer to make that decision, and it's entirely up to the consumer whether a person feels that it's right, wrong, or whatever opinion they may have over it. It's been left up to the consumer in the fact that they're not even a consumer by that stage because they're not paying to consume anything. Exactly. And he's not the first indie to go that route. I mean, there's been several indies that have said, look, if you don't have money, get the game anyway. Just enjoy it, and remember that you got given that opportunity and pay it forward when you can. Maybe even buy the game. And several indie developers have come back and ended up doing quite well off of that. I mean, I don't know much about the people in charge of the people that have made Hotline Miami and what where they're going to go from here. But they're obviously committed to their game. So
I would say very committed, because the direct quote is, "No need to send us any money, just enjoy the game." That's awesome.
But on the same token, there are avenues to legally buy it still. I believe GOG.com. I believe you should be able to, if you're an Australian, you should be able to actually buy it through that avenue. There'll be multiple game sites that you'd be able to purchase through. I don't know if you'd be able to redeem the code through Steam. We'll see. And if you have a PlayStation or an Xbox, you could probably make an overseas account. Not that any of us would do that.
No.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah.
No.
I have 241 games on Steam. I don't think I'm that desperate for another.
241? You amateur.
Well, as a game collector, I think I'm up to nearly 800 games over all my systems, so, I definitely ain't got time for that.
I don't want to begin to count.
Yeah, that's why you never went to school.
Right.
No, but the fact of the matter is that it is a situation that sucks for the developer, because they have made a game that is fun. It's a decision that sucks for the consumer, because censorship is wrong in the sense of people telling you what you can and can't experience, but
takes away choice.
Yes, Target Australia.
Then again, I think one thing I've learnt over the years is putting things in perspective as well. And like Cam said, is it worth getting up in arms over? Is it the game that you want to get up in arms over and use as your focal point for your point? And probably not.
I definitely think it's the wrong atmosphere to be, basically using this as a champion flag.
Definitely.
Or a rallying point. It's not there. It's the motivation, everything surrounding it. There is no rally point there that is justifiable. It's a game. At some point, the developers decided we're going to implant this scene. Maybe they had a great reason for it. Maybe they didn't. Maybe they just thought, hey, shits and giggles. But at the end of the day, it's whatever the developer decided to put in. The boards looked at it, said, legislation says no, on your bike, come back to us with it removed and we might reconsider. Right. And he's basically said, you know what, too much effort. They can just download it for free. And then at the end, you've now got no one's making money off of it for that scene. If anyone internationally wants to make it into a big deal, they can do, and that's on them. But I really don't think you're going to see Australia become this huge rallying point over censorship for this particular game. Maybe a game in the future, but definitely not this one or this issue.
Well, see, I think the big problem with it here in Australia is more the fact that we've just been given an R rating and they're still banning games on us. And it's sort of like, you just sort of are like, I know this is, as Cam said, the wrong game to champion, but you just sort of like, we went through all that to get an R rating in the first place and you're still not letting us have these games.
But I think part of the problem there as well is the fact that, like we covered earlier, and not to go over it extensively, I think the biggest problem there is the fact that a lot of people assumed that an R rating was going to be an open slather.
Well, that's true too. Yes.
And
Yeah.
all an R rating was an increase in certain categories. You could have ultra violence. You could have an increase in drug use to a certain degree.
Yep.
You could have certain other aspects. But once it crossed these lines, no, sorry, the RC still exists. We don't have the same freedom of expression clauses that they have in America. We don't get to do all that.
Well, see, and that's certainly what I was expecting. I was expecting just to be on par with the rest of the world and their rating system.
Oh, yeah, okay, let's get on par with Germany.
It will come with the right games behind, like the right games for people to get behind. You know, you've got a ton. Like let's say, for example, we've just found out Far Cry 5 is being considered to be done here in Australia. If it was based in Australia and their decisions in that game led to it being refused classification in Australia, I feel that maybe you would get more people behind you on that, because you've got an entire game that's set in your country that is then banned from being shown in your country, which would then get people a little bit riled up.
I just think that is a shit idea for a setting for Far Cry 5.
Well, they could set it in Tasmania. Wouldn't even have to change the map size.
I don't even want to go to Tassie on a game. Thanks, I'm good.
All right, well, we might wrap it up there, and we'll be back very soonish with our next podcast. Hope you enjoyed it. Just drop us a comment. Remember to just throw us a like on our Facebook page.
On our YouTube channel, subscribe.
Yep, subscribe to our YouTube channel and sacrifice a goat.
We're also on Google Plus at STFU, buddy.
Yep, we're all over the place, believe me. We are here, there, and everywhere. So just take it. Just if you want any of the details, check in the description for the podcast. Look for Stuff That Fascinates Us on Facebook, STFU Buddy on Google Plus.
And your comments and criticism is appreciated.
But only if it's directed at Cam. All right, everybody. Thanks a lot for your time, and we're out. See you later.
See ya.
Bye. See ya.
Screw you guys. I'm going home.
Excuse me, I want to drive.
Get off my bridge.
That's it. I'm getting out of here.